Cheney, Dutton, Flores, Hancock, Harmon, Hollingsworth, Huff, Kehoe, Leno, Liu, Lowenthal, Maldonado, Negrete McLeod, Oropesa, Padilla, Pavley, Price, Romero, Runner, Smidian, Steinberg, Strickland, Walters, Wiggins, Wolk, Wright, Weiland, Yee.
The Secretary notices the absence of a quorum. Sergeants, please call the absent members to the Senate chamber so that we may resume this afternoon's business.
recess.
Members, we have a couple of bills that we are going to hear without reference to file. We are awaiting Senator Ducheney, Chair of the Budget Committee, in order to present these on the floor so that we can begin this afternoon's session. Senator Ashburn, for what purpose do you rise?
Madam President, I'm prepared to present one of the measures.
Let me go to Senator Ducheney.
Thank you very much, Madam Chair. We need under motions and resolutions to request unanimous consent to take up AB 183 without reference to file.
Is there any objection? Seeing none, so approved. Oh, call the roll. There is objection. Please call the roll in taking up, without reference to file, AB 183. Senator Hollingsworth? Okay, the objection has been withdrawn. Unanimous consent. AB 183 without reference to file. Secretary, please read.
Assembly Bill 183 by Assemblymember Caballero, an act relating to taxation to take effect immediately, tax levy.
Senator Ashburn.
Thank you, Madam President. This is the Home Purchasers Tax Credit at a time when California's economy needs a real jolt to get moving. Construction jobs, jobs created related to home purchases, whether they be new homes or existing homes, this bill will make a difference. And so while we tried a tax credit last year, it was very successful. We know the benefits from a home purchaser's tax credit. This is an expansion of $200 million, $100 million for new first-time home buyers on existing homes, and for $100 million for new home purchases in California. And of course, the benefits are not only to those Californians who are able to share in the American dream of home ownership, to have a greater personal stake in the well-being of our communities, it also is, of course, for the creation of jobs. And without a doubt, we know that this tax credit produces those jobs, thus creating tax revenue that is in excess of the credits that are proposed here today. So with broad bipartisan support in both houses, I present this home purchasers tax credit and ask for your favorable consideration.
Is there any discussion or debate? Seeing none, Secretary, call the roll.
Onnested? Aye. Alquist? Aye. Ashburn? Aye. Calderon? Cedillo? Cogdill? Aye. Corbett? Aye. Correa? Aye. Cox? Aye. Denham? DeSaulnier? Aye. Ducheney? Aye. Dutton? Flores? Aye. Hancock? No. Harmon? Hollingsworth? Aye. Huff? Kehoe? Aye. Leno? Liu? Aye. Lowenthal? Aye. Maldonado? Aye. Negrete McLeod? Aye. Oropesa? Padilla? Pavley? Aye. Price? Romero.
Aye.
Aye. Runner. Aye. Semidian. Aye. Steinberg. Aye. Strickland. Aye. Walters. Aye. Wiggins. Aye. Wolk. Aye. Wright. Wyland. Aye. Yee. Yee. Aye. Calderon. Aye. Huff. Aye.
Ayes 29, noes 1. The bill is passed. Senator Ashburn?
I would ask for immediate transmittal to the Assembly.
Des will note. Senator Duchesne, are you prepared to ask for AB 186 to be wharfed to the floor? Senator Duchesne, are you ready for AB 186? We need to ask for a...
It's my understanding we're not taking up 186. We need to call a budget committee to hear 70 off the floor and 71 if and when it gets here. We don't have 71 yet, so we were waiting to have both of them heard simultaneously. But.
Okay. Members, until we receive that other bill from the Assembly, Senator Alquist, you do have a measure to be heard at this time. What is the file
item
number?
29.
File item 29. Secretary, please read.
Assembly Bill 142 by Assemblymember Hayashi, an act relating to the California State Lottery, making an appropriation therefore and declaring the urge thereof to take effect immediately.
Thank you, Madam President. Colleagues, many of us have had friends from the education community come into our office and say, you know, I thought we fixed funding for education with the lottery. And you and I know that that's not the case. Although the lottery gave more than $1 billion, thank you, in the year 2008-2009, $1 billion to the schools is not enough in terms of creating a real fix for funding for public education. California continues to be one of the lowest in the country, both in terms of how many lottery tickets are sold and how much money is paid out to recipients and given to schools. A solution that will really help is AB 142, which brings California's lottery payouts in line with other large states. It will increase the payments to public schools and prize recipients from 84 to 87%, and it will reduce administrative expenses from 16 to 13%. And it requires more accountability. It requires the lottery to report to the controller and to the legislature on the fiscal situation of the lottery. I think AB 142 is a good bill. I say that as a former teacher, a former school board member, and I ask for your support.
Is there any discussion or debate on this measure? Members, this is a 27-vote bill. Secretary, call the roll.
Onnested. Aye. Alquist. Aye. Ashburn. Aye. Calderon. Cedillo. Cogdill. Aye. Corbett. Aye. Correa. Aye. Cox. Aye. Denham. DeSaulnier. Aye. Duchesne. Dutton. Flores. Aye. Hancock. Aye. Harmon. Hollingsworth. Aye. Huff. Aye. Kehoe. Aye. Leno. Aye. Liu. Aye. Lowenthal. Aye. Maldonado. Aye. Negrete McLeod. Aye. Oropesa. Padilla. Aye. Pavley. Aye. Price. Romero.
Aye.
Aye. Runner. Aye. Semidian. Steinberg. Aye. Strickland. Aye. Walters. Aye. Wiggins. Aye. Wolk. Aye. Wright. Aye. Wyland. Aye. Yee. Yee. Aye. Calderon. Aye. Semidian. Aye.
Ayes 32, no 0 on the urgency. Ayes 32, no 0 on the measure. The bill is passed. Members, while we are awaiting receipt of SB 71 from the Assembly, is there any other member who has an item to be taken up under Assembly Bill's third reading file at this time? Any other item at this time? Senator Alquist, for what purpose do you seek recognition?
On condition of the file.
Please proceed, members.
And if I might also ask on AB 142 for immediate transmittal back to the Assembly.
Desk will note immediate transmittal requested.
On another topic, thank you, Madam President and members. Yesterday, we witnessed an historic moment in our country's history. I congratulate Congress on moving us one step closer to providing all Californians and all Americans with full access to health care. Soon, hopefully, the estimated 8 million uninsured Californians will no longer have to worry about health care. Parents with sick children will get the care they need. People with pre-existing conditions hopefully will have peace of mind that they will no longer be denied coverage. As chair of the Senate Health Committee, we will be holding hearings to determine how to best implement these reforms. I will also be authoring legislation that moves health care forward. Members, there is an awful lot yet left to do, and if we work together, we can make history. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator Alquist. Senator Strickland, for what purpose do you seek recognition? And before you do, let us acknowledge the presence of our colleague, the former Speaker of the California State Assembly, facing forward, Assemblyman Bob Hertzberg. Welcome to the California State Senate. Senator Strickland, for what purpose do you rise?
Condition of the file.
Condition of the file. Please proceed.
Thank you, Madam President. Members, I wasn't going to rise today regarding, because I know we have a lot of business on the floor, but I would like to respond a little bit to our chair of the Health Committee. I am vice chair of the Health Committee, and I have a different perspective of what happened yesterday in Congress. In fact, I know my colleague, Senator Tom Harmon, myself, and many others are signing a letter requesting that our Attorney General, Jerry Brown, join, I believe it's 14 or 15 other state attorney generals under the 10th Amendment and say under equal protection, we should do whatever we can to stop Obamacare from moving forward in terms of legislation and policy. And then on top of that, I have a SEA 29 that I'm urging both sides of the aisle to support that says, look, let's have a final debate. The people, when we're talking about 1/5 of our national economy in terms of Obamacare, and when we talk about the numbers and something that's personal as your health care and who provides your health care, it's important that the people have the final veto power because I believe the politicians in Washington and here in Sacramento are out of touch with everyday citizens. I believe what happened yesterday in Washington was a total disconnect from hardworking families across this country that said they did not want this to be passed. And in fact, the only reason why it got passed is because it was used some tactical thing called reconciliation that today, if the vote was up in the United States Senate, it would not pass. And there was arm twisting, a lot of promises made and behind closed doors. And I believe that this bill needs a second look, and this bill needs to be viewed on by the people of California when we're talking about, again, something as personal as their private health care, something that's its cost when the economy is down where it is. I'm fearful that more people are going to be out of work because this bill passed in Washington, and we need to do everything in our power as legislators if we truly represent the people of this state to do whatever we can to stop this bill from moving forward and going forward. So I encourage Attorney General Jerry Brown to join the other Attorney Generals around the country. I encourage a bipartisan support of my SCA 29 to at least allow the people of California to have the final veto when it comes to this bill. I urge those folks to look at this bill and do whatever you can to stop this bill from taking effect, because I think it was a sad day in American history. Last night was a sad day in American history.
Senator Maldonado, for what purpose do you seek recognition?
Yes, Madam President. Just two quick items. Number one, to remove from the inactive file AB 604, item 32.
Desk will note.
Okay.
Second item.
Second item is an adjourn in the memory of a great friend of mine and my family's, Madam President. We lost last week Fess Parker. And Fess was a friend of mine for many, many, many years. And We know him as Disney knew him as David Crocker. And all I can say about Fess is that throughout the years that I've known him, he's given so much to the county of Santa Barbara, to the state of California, and obviously to our country. Fess was loved in our community. He owned a beautiful hotel and obviously a beautiful winery. He leaves behind his wife. They just celebrated their 50-year anniversary in January, Marcella, and his daughter Ashley and his son Eli. They'll be missed in Santa Barbara County, and all I can say is, Fess, may you rest in peace.
Thank you, Senator Maldonado, for those very kind words. I think they express many of our sentiments who grew up seeing Fess Parker on television. Thank you. And Des, please make sure that that name is noted. Senator Ducheney, for what purpose do you rise?
To call for a budget committee hearing in 3191 immediately to hear two bills, 70 and 71.
Members of the Budget Committee, please go to room 3191 so that Budget Committee may hear two bills, after which we will continue on the floor. Members who are not on the Budget Committee, we ask you to please stay within the realm of the Senate chambers, the Senate floor. Please do not go to your office. Budget Committee has adjourned. All senators, please return to the Senate floor. Members, we are awaiting the receipt of the bill that was passed out of the Budget Committee, but in the meantime, I will ask you to please join me in wishing a very happy birthday to our Senator Alex Padilla. Happy birthday, Senator Padilla. Awaiting the report from the Budget Committee. So that's what we are doing at this time. We are just awaiting for the Budget Committee to report out the action that was taken a few minutes ago in Budget Committee. According to our Senate Budget Chair, the report should be arriving on the floor any moment now. We ask that all members please report back to the Senate floor. Sergeants, if you could take a look to see who is missing from the Senate chamber. As soon as that budget report arrives, we will be ready to take it up right away, vote, and conclude our day's business. Mr. Secretary, please read the report from the Budget Committee.
Madam President, the Committee on Budget and Fiscal Review, to which were referred Senate Bill 70 and 71, reports the same back with the recommendation that the Assembly amendments be concurred in.
Thank you, Mr. Secretary. Senator Ducheney.
I would ask that we take both of those bills up, SB 70 and SB 71, without reference to file.
Is there any objection? Seeing none, so noted. The bills are eligible to be taken up. Secretary, please read Senate Bill 70.
Senate Bill 70 by the Committee on Budget and Fiscal Review, an act relating to taxation to take effect immediately, tax levy.
Thank you very much. Madam President and members, this bill creates amendments to the special session bills passed a couple of weeks ago with respect to revising our transportation gas tax system. This bill would amend that package that is still sitting on the governor's desk in such a way as to exempt off-road diesel fuel users who were already exempt from these taxes and aviation fuel, so that they are kept in a like position to where they are today, and so that there will be no increase in the cost of fuel to either of those sectors due to these technical amendments that will resolve some people's concerns and have only minimal effect on the budget portion of those bills. Ask for your aye vote.
Is there any discussion or debate? Seeing none, Secretary, call the roll.
Onnested? No. Alquist? Aye. Ashburn? No. Calderon? Cedillo? Aye. Cogdill? No. Corbett? Aye. Correa? Cox? No. Denham? DeSaulnier? Aye. Ducheney? Aye. Dutton? Flores? Aye. Hancock? Aye. Harmon? Hollingsworth? No. Huff? No. Kehoe? Aye. Leno? Aye. Liu? Aye. Lowenthal? Aye. Maldonado? Aye. Negrete McLeod? Aye. Oropesa? Padilla? Aye. Pavley? Aye. Price? Aye. Romero? Aye. Runner? No. Smidian? Aye. Steinberg? Aye. Strickland? No. Walters? No. Wiggins? Aye. Wolk? Aye. Wright? Wyland? No. Yee? Yee, aye. Oropesa, aye. Correa, aye. Calderon, aye.
Ayes 25, noes 10. The bill is passed. File item Senate Bill 71. Secretary, please read.
Senate Bill 71 by Senators Padilla, Alquist, and Strickland, an act relating to economic development.
Senator Padilla.
Thank you, Madam President. Members, as much as I enjoy spending my birthday with you all, I was actually helping to celebrate in Hinckley, California today. And you're probably wondering, why Hinckley? Well, the governor is signing SB 34 from the 8th extraordinary session today, a measure that we all supported to accelerate the siting of renewable energy power plants that are recipients of Recovery Act dollars. And it's such a big deal for the state that Secretary of Interior Salazar is out as part of that ceremony. And they're also touring the largest solar plant in the world today. The reason I mention that is because in the same spirit that this bill comes to us today, SB 71, that in recognition of the struggling economy and the need to put people back to work, would exempt the purchase of green manufacturing equipment from sales tax. California is just one of 3 states that don't provide such a tax exemption or credit, and it serves to put us at a disadvantage for businesses seeking to locate here or existing businesses seeking to expand here. This bill has been supported, a very similar bill was supported by the Senate previously. This one is back from the Assembly with some minor amendments, including one, a requirement that CATFA, the existing program that we're amending here in the Treasurer's Office, have a project evaluation for applications for the tax incentive. Making sure that we document the net benefit to the state of the manufacturing equipment in terms of jobs and emission reductions. It also requires a 20-day notice to the legislature once the value of tax exclusions has exceeded $100 million. It ensures accountability by requiring an LAO report to the legislature on the effectiveness of the program. And it also adds a sunset to the program on January 1st, 2021. The Assembly has also inserted an urgency clause so that these benefits are made available immediately upon signature of the governor. I need to take a moment to thank a couple of people. First of all, Senator Alquist, who's introduced very similar legislation for many years, advocating not just on behalf of her district but for the state, for her involvement and support in this bill. Also, Senator Strickland, not just by name only, he was working Republican votes in the Assembly earlier today. We're doing what people say either can't be done or isn't done enough in the state capitol. We're working on a bipartisan basis. We're not pitting the environment against the economy. We can do both in the same action, and we're acting expeditiously. The Assembly sent it to us on a 73 to no vote. I'd ask for your aye vote on concurrence. Thank you.
Senator Alquist.
Thank you, Madam President. I'm pleased to be a joint author on this very important legislation along with Senator Padilla and Senator Strickland. I believe that green energy production is California's present and our future, and that this bill is important because it will provide a tax exemption for capital investment and equipment for green energy production. Members, that means we will generate more jobs for Californians, both in Northern California and Southern California. This will mean new revenues for the state and eventually will help to reduce clean air costs. I'm proud to be a joint author, particularly as I represent 1 million people in Santa Clara County, the heart of Silicon Valley. And as we know, Silicon Valley, along with other areas, is a great leader in this green tech.